Hello, welcome to the Nomadic Soul Diaries, and this is the first project to inspire you all for our January challenge. So, our January challenge is to make a tag, to add feathers, and to use the color blue. Now, what I have done here is I have used some chipboard. I used a big 12 by 12 chipboard sheet, which is about 900 GSM, and I just drew a feather and cut it out. So this will be the base for my tag. So it's a jumbo feather tag. And now my next step is, what I want to do is use these scrap pieces of chipboard and cut random shapes, mostly a triangle or a quadruple, and to create a first level of layer on my base here. So magically a bit of it is done, and that's how it looks. And I'm just going to continue the same process and complete the remaining part. And I'm going to use the Stamperia Mixed Media Art glue to stick these pieces down. You can use a brush, but I'm just directly using my finger. So with that done, there's a first level of texture, a very abstract pattern. And this is a good way to begin because it also gives some depth and dimension. The Stamperia mixed media glue is very good and it adheres everything down very well. Now for our next step, I'm going to use this Stamperia white gesso and prime my entire surface. So this will help us also add further texture, and when we begin adding colors, the chipboard will take it well instead of soaking it all in. So with that done, our entire chipboard surface is now primed, and let's quickly dry it. Now for the next step, I'm going to mix some of the Stamperia gesso with this texture powder by Stamperia to create a grainy texture. So I'm just going to do that on my palette here. And now, just using a palette knife, I'm going to randomly add this texture, just very randomly spreading it onto the surface. So in this way, I'm also breaking this very typical geometric pattern and adding some texture for further work. Now for the next texture, I'm just going to use the structural paste by Stamperia and one of their mixed media stencils, just for some more texture here. Now let's add our first layer of colors, and I'm just going to be using these Lindy sprays for that. Now the challenge says that the main color needs to be blue, and what I have in mind is a very steampunk shade, something like blue with a bit of brown. So I'm just going to begin and then I'll see where it goes. So starting with a lighter blue, I'm just going to start adding some color. base is now colored and I can continue working further. Next, I'm just going to use this Stamperia Patina gel in a brown color and a dry brush to highlight the texture and go over the edges of the entire tag. So just like that. Now for the next step, I want to highlight all the texture on top, and for that I'm going to use these metallic wax. So first in vintage gold color, just using a brush. The technique is to go over the edges and pull in the wax so that the abstract so that the geometric triangular pieces are highlighted and there's a differentiation between our base and the texture on top of it. So in that way, I'm just going to highlight each piece. So here's a look at what I've done so far. And that also highlights all the structural paste, the texture powder that we put in with gesso, giving it nice dimension. Now I'm going to use the rich copper color and just go over the edges gently with a flat brush. So that will further highlight it. So even the edges of the entire feather. Use some of the fantasy dyes and die cut some elements for layering, and my focal point is going to be somewhere around this part. So before I actually work on that, I'm going to use some of the Stamperia's black modeling paste with another stencil. I'm just going to add this, and then I'm using this black embossing powder to emboss over it. So of course it's not going to be even when you apply this because of the grooves and uprooted texture, but I'm okay with that. So I just need some amount of black on my tag. So after heat embossing the black powder, it was all about adding the elements. So I showed you the die cut elements that I had in mind for my focal point, and all I did was heat emboss them using some of Lindy's embossing powder. So I used the mini Versamark ink pad and added ink on the die cuts and just sprinkled the powder and heat set them. So that gave me this lovely shine and dimension on the die cuts. Apart from that, I had some of these wooden gear chipboard elements and some metal gears. And to color them, I use these three waxes, the rich copper, vintage gold, and mystic turquoise for that color and shine, also to match the entire look of the tag. And I just adhered everything down with tacky glue. And then I used some white feathers and colored them with the same Lindy sprays that I use for the background and glued them down. I completed the tag with some stickers just to give it a title, and some of these copper perils that I have for handmade flowers. So they are quite tiny, and I just glued them down with glossy accent over here and just very randomly. Now for my string here, after I punched the hole and added this white string colored with the Lindy sprays to the edges, I just glued down some more feathers just to complete the look. So that's a look at the completed tag. And in the center of these gears, I use the glass drops just to add something that mimics a brad. So with that done, this tag is now complete. We really look forward to your participation in the challenge. We have some amazing prizes to offer. And more than anything, it's an easy way for you to create and participate. Also, watch out our Instagram account because we do have some wandering stars who are our special guests who are going to be creating some projects to inspire you to play along. So, until the next time, take care and bye bye.